Hi everyone, we are from Group 10 and in this great opportunity we would like to deliver you a presentation about word stress. But before we start our presentation, we would like to introduce ourselves. So my name is Nanda and my student number is 156 and the other members consist of Olin and Niken. So without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, let's talk about word stress. In many languages, including English, one or more of the syllables in every content word, except for function words like to, the, of, are stressed. It means that when we find a word and we pronounce it, we usually find one or more stressed syllables in it. And a stressed syllable, which can be marked by an acute accent, is perceived as more prominent than an unstressed syllable, which it means that when we pronounce a stressed syllable, the sound of stressed syllable is higher, louder, and longer than the other unstressed syllable. So, let's take a look at this following example. We have the example of two syllables words, and there's two similar pair of words here. The first one is perfect and the second one is subject. And for the first similar pair, the first one is perfect, as in my neighbor is a perfect, and the second one is pervert, as in don't pervert the idea. So do you know, guys, what's the difference between the first and two stressed syllable? Alright, so let me show you the difference. Alright, in a word perfect, the stressed syllable is put in the first syllable. It means that when we put the stressed syllable in the first syllable, it indicates as noun, but if we put in the second stressed syllable, it usually indicate as a verb. And actually, in a two syllables word, there are several words consist of more than one part of speech, can be noun or verb, which affect to the meaning of a word. So it is important for us to pay attention to the stress pattern in the two syllables word to make the differences whether a word is a noun or a verb. Alright, after finding the stress pattern in two syllables word, now we discuss about how the stress pattern is placed in a longer word. So, in longer word, it may consist of more than one stressed vowel, but usually there's one stressed vowel is more prominent or louder or higher than the others, and when the stress is higher, we call it as primary stress, and it is marked by an acute accent. And how about the another stress vowel? So another stress vowel, which is indicated by a grave vowel, by a grave accent, is called as a secondary stress, and it sounds weaker and lower than the primary stress. So let's take a look at this example. So the first one is resignation. The second one is linguistics. The third one is fundamental. And the fourth one is revolution. So most of the words in this example place the secondary stress in the first syllable, and it is also similar like the other longer words. So the secondary stress is usually placed in the first syllable, and in the word resignation, the primary stress is placed in the third syllable. Alright, here I provide you another example of word stress, and I would like to differentiate between British English and American English in the word laboratory. So in most varieties of American English, the word laboratory has two stress syllables, but in most varieties of British English, it receives only one stress, which means we pronounce the word laboratory in British English as laboratory. So in American English, though a word laboratory has two stress syllable, uh, it is placed in the first and the fourth syllable, so it becomes laboratory. And in British English, it only has one syllable, so we pronounce it laboratory. Usually in English, vowels generally reduce to schwa or delete when they are not stressed, so it means that the British and American vowels can differ in this word. So here I also want to show you another pattern between British and American English in terms of giving the stress pattern. So British puts the stress on the first syllable of the word more often than American. So it is usually happens in a noun, so that British usually has a stress syllable in the first syllable than American. So do you want an example? Okay, here is the example of another pattern of British and American English. So the first one, there is a word buffet, and in British we pronounce it buffet, and in American we pronounce it buffet. And in the word cigarette, in British English we pronounce it cigarette, and in American is cigarette. So this is only some of the example about the differences between British and American English, and you can find more information in the internet. So this is the end of my explanation, and the next explanation will be explained by Niken.
Hello friends, so Niken is here, and the next topic is phrase and sentence stress. I think everyone got the stress lesson in pronunciation class, and in this session we are going to talk about it deeper. When the words are combined into phrases and sentences, one syllable receives strong stress and other words reduce into secondary stress. Then, in English, the place of primary stress is on the adjectival part of a compound, which may be written as one word, two words separated by a hyphen, or two separated words. When the words are noun phrase consisting of an adjective that followed by a noun, the stress is on the noun. Here is the example. Besides different stress placement, it is also different meaning of the words or phrases. The first from compound is tightrope. The meaning is a rope for acrobatic. And then from the noun phrase side is tightrope. The meaning is a rope drawn taut. And then red coat. The meaning is British soldier. And then red coat. The meaning is a coat that is red. The third line is hot dog. The meaning is a frankfurter. And from the noun phrase side is hot dog. The meaning is an overheated dog. The last line is White House. The meaning is the president's house. And White house. The meaning is a house painted white. If you are not sure with my pronunciation, you can check the dictionary. These pairs show that stress may be predictable from the morphology and syntax. The phonology interacts with the other components of the grammar. The stress differences between the noun and verb pairs discussed in the previous section, subject as noun or verb, are also predictable from the syntactic word category. Alright, the next explanation will be delivered by Olin.
Intonation. In English, intonation may reflect syntactic or semantic differences. This is the music of the language. Often, questions can be asked with a rising intonation, where the pitch goes up at the end, and a falling pitch at the end, it is a statement. A sentence, if it's said without a rising intonation, it is information that you already know, and you may just need confirmation. Intonation can also show emotions like surprise and the others. For the example, as you can see, there are two same sentences, but if we say John is going with a rising pitch at the end, it may be interpreted as a question. And if we say John is going with a falling pitch at the end, it is a statement. A sentence that is ambiguous in writing may be ambiguous when spoken because of differences in the pitch counter. Okay, for another example, as we can see that these two sentences are same, but the way to read is different. That depends on how our intonation when reading the sentence. For the first one, what's in the tea, honey? The first sentence be query to someone called Honey regarding the contents of the tea. And the second sentence, we read like this. What's in the tea, honey? The second sentence be a query regarding whether the tea contains honey. Okay, so this is the last example. So the first one is spoken if Tristram wanted Isolde to follow him. The sentence would be pronounced with a rise in pitch on the first syllable of follow, followed by a fall in pitch as indicated in the first sentence. So this is how we read the first sentence. Tristram left directions for Isolde to follow. In this pronunciation of the sentence, the primary stress is on the word follow. And for the second sentence, if the meaning to read and follow a set of directions, the highest pitch comes on the second syllable of directions, as illustrated, as we can see the second sentence. Tristram left directions for Isolde to follow. The primary stress in this pronunciation is on the word directions. Pitch plays an important role in both tone languages and intonation languages, but in different ways, depending on the phonological system of the respective languages. Okay, so this is the end of our presentation. Thank you.